Ah?
Welcome.
Am I being interviewed then? I'm surprised you wouldn't prefer someone with a bigger personality. I don't imagine I'll have anything particularly flashy to say.
You have been summoned here to participate in the 5th student interview of your session. Please take a seat.
And what if I choose not to answer any questions?
Ultimately, I have no say over whether or not you decide to answer. However, I would greatly prefer it if you chose to be cooperative. I believe it would make things easier on both of us.
Well, we'll see, I guess. What's the first question?
Very well. Let's begin. Your first question is as follows. Do you believe your parents raised you properly?
My parents? I don't think so, no. They were very traditional people, in a manner of speaking.
Is that so?
My father was a politician for most of my life, so he was very concerned with public appearances, I think. It was exceptionally difficult to live up to his standards. We didn't get along well. My mother was fairly similar. I'm not even really sure if they even liked me. It certainly didn't seem like they took well to my hobbies, or my style, or my friends, or how I chose to express myself.
I see.
I would say they raised me to be somewhat rebellious, though I'm sure that wasn't their intention.
Noted. Your second question is as follows. What is your stance on drug use?
I'd say I'm all for it, in most cases. I'm rather adventurous about it as well. I find marijuana is helpful for relaxing if one is particularly overworked. I'll basically smoke anything I can roll, actually.
I see. Very well. Your third question is as follows. What kind of place do you live in?
I live in Nagoya.
I believe the question is referring to your accommodations.
I live in an apartment building. If you're looking for something more specific than that, it's a fairly unkempt apartment. I don't take very good care of my space. There are clothes everywhere. Practically all the time.
I see. Your fourth question is as follows. Is there anyone in the whole world you would kill for?
Definitely not. I struggle deeply with commitment, and I'm an exceptional coward. I wouldn't kill for anyone. Self-preservation is a priority for me. I have no relationship with my family, and I haven't preserved any long-term romantic bonds for longer than a month or so at best. I suppose my closest relationships would consist of a few friends and one-off sexual partners. I had a roommate I was fairly intimate with before.
Noted. Please do not go into detail on this matter.
She was exceptionally attractive, if that's where your concern is coming from.
It is not where my concern is coming from. Your fifth question is as follows. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I suppose there are plenty of things to choose from. I'd like to be braver, and I'd like to be more reliable. I'd also like to be more intelligent and more successful. Less obedient, maybe, but if I can only pick one thing, then I suppose I'd like to no longer be diabetic. It's a fairly massive hindrance on my everyday life, and it would be convenient to be rid of that hindrance forever.
Okazaki Hanano.
Yes?
You are answering all of these questions as Okazaki Hanano, correct?
Oh. No, I had chosen to answer them all as Ninomiya Yohei. Is that not acceptable?
It is not acceptable.
Ah, my apologies.
Who is Ninomiya Yohei?
An old roommate. He's interesting, so I thought I would answer as him, to be flashier.
Please answer as Okazaki Hanano from here on out.
Of course.
With that established, your sixth question is as follows. Why don't you live with your roommates anymore?
Two of my roommates entered a long-term relationship and decided to move out together. Another one decided to move out on her own when she had secured a higher-paying position in her profession. At that point, it was only myself and Ninomiya. I decided that I would prefer to pursue my own independent path and moved out promptly. There are no hard feelings as far as I'm aware.
I see. Your seventh question is as follows. Do you think Monomoko is doing a good or bad job running the killing game?
This is awkward and uncomfortable.
I won't take your answer personally.
Regardless, it feels rude to answer.
I truly do not mind.
You're sure? I wouldn't want to offend.
I will not be offended. Please proceed as... would I have reason to be offended?
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't thought through my answer. I just didn't want to offend on the off chance that I had a critique to share.
Please answer the question however you see fit.
All right, well, I suppose if I consider it from the perspective of your goals, then you're doing fine, I guess? I have no complaints. Obviously, I'm not enjoying it very much as a student, but from the perspective of the host, I'd say you aren't doing too badly. If your job is to make us kill each other, you're clearly passing with flying colors.
Thank you.
I'll add that it's sometimes fairly obvious when you're making things up on the spot. Additionally, you occasionally come off as rather weak-willed. Aside from that, you're doing fine. I'd say the bigger priority is making us kill each other, which you're doing great at. You made us kill each other twice. I'd consider that a success for you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Your 8th question is as follows. How would you describe your moral code?
My moral code? I suppose I would describe it as malleable. I don't believe morals are as cut and dry as people seem to believe. Morals are complicated and susceptible to a vast array of variables. What one person may consider immoral may be considered completely acceptable by someone with a different upbringing.
Is that so?
Quite. Some people may also reconsider the morals of an action if that action can be justified by the ends it reaches. For example, I'm currently in trouble for locking water in a bathroom stall during the last investigation, which several people are considering to be an immoral action. However, one might argue that it was actually morally justifiable, since it provided the group with a helpful piece of evidence come trial time.
Ah.
I'm not trying to excuse myself, but I don't think morals are black or white. They're complicated and vary between people. There's nothing that states one person's morals to be an ultimate truth over anyone else's. Perhaps bad morals have a place in the world as well. I'm not sure it's anyone's place to make that determination. Perhaps the world would be better off in the hands of people that the mass of society consider to be villainous. I'm not sure, because I don't know anything about moral philosophy. I also don't care, because it's very dorky and boring.
Noted. Your 9th question is as follows. Do you think your younger self would be proud of what you turned out into? Would they admire you? Or would they be disappointed?
My younger self would be very, very proud of the person I am now. Incredibly proud. I think she would admire me quite a bit.
I see. Your final question is as follows. If you could say one thing to the forces behind the killing game, what would that be?
Behind the killing game? Hi.
Is that all?
Yes.
Very well. Thank you for participating in the 5th student interview of the session. You may now return to your daily activities.
Thank you. I was actually in the middle of something I need to be getting back to. I'm supposed to be on hall patrol right now.
Don't let me keep you.
Of course. Goodbye.
Goodbye.